The People's Democratic Party caucus in the House of Representatives has thrown its weight behind its counterparts at the Senate on plans to issue an impeachment notice on President Muhammadu Buhari if issues of insecurity are not addressed. The opposition lawmakers made their position known after a closed-door meeting on Thursday. Leader of the PDP caucus in the House, Ndudi Elumelu, said his colleagues are on the same page with the senators who staged a walkout of plenary on Wednesday. Elumelu noted that the security situation in the country, the dwindling value of the naira, and the resurgence of crude oil theft are good enough reasons to impeach the president.
It's high time that the insecurity of this nation is addressed. And of course, we also have the issue of oil theft, which has risen, which is now making it difficult to earn income from oil revenue. And these and many others is the reason why we are joining our colleagues in the Senate to ask Mr. President to address the insecurity of this nation within 8 weeks, between 6 and 8 weeks. Otherwise, we will find the constitutional means to ensure that we will serve him an impeachment notice.
It is a bipartisan issue. We all agreed that the security architecture is failing and there's the need to salvage it immediately. And we also agreed that we must issue, for some who do not know, the issue is to issue an impeachment notice to the president, because the primary responsibility of government is the protection of lives of its citizens. Once that is not done, then there is a problem.
Well, to discuss the constitutionality of that ultimatum and the political implications, we are joined by constitutional lawyer Festus Oguche and chairman of the Zenith Labour Party, Nwanyanwu. Thank you so much, both of you, for joining us on the news tonight. Let me begin with you, Nwanyanwu. What do you make of this motion by the Senate, and now you heard from the House of Representatives? Is it a ridiculous motion and a headline-grabbing stunt, as described by the presidency? Do you think it's dead on arrival?
Yes, thank you for having me. Let me start by saying that this attempt by the Senate and the House of Representatives to remove the president is an exercise in futility. And I will go further to explain why it is so. I think they are trying to save their faces. They have been swimming with the president for 7 years. They have seen that the boat is about sinking, and most of them are having problems in their constituencies. So the best thing to do is to run out of the boat, jump out of the boat, and plead non est factum. It is not my deed. And that is why it will not work. Secondly, I have said it before, that this president, our president, President Muhammadu Buhari, should be allowed to finish his tenure. We must issue him testimonial. We don't want anybody to truncate his tenure. Even though he has said that he's tired, he wants to go home. Let him keep pushing. There is nothing we have not seen for 7 years. So, nobody should attempt to give credence to the conspiracy theories that have been flying in the past 3-6 months. That one, insecurity will be all over the country, there will be shooting, there will be killing, to the point there will be state of emergency, and the president will continue. Two, that there may be a situation where the military will be asked to intervene. Three, that the election will not hold. And let me send the message very clear to whoever is nursing this ambition, to know that everything has been done to have a free and fair election. And that nobody can truncate it. A new president will emerge May 29 next year. And the last point I want to make at this juncture is that it is not easy to remove the president. Section 143 did not intend that the president will be removed due to our special circumstances. The closest to it was when there was an attempt to remove President Obasanjo. And it failed because of those special circumstances. So I think they are trying to save face. I think if they have been swimming with the president for 7 years, they should be ready and willing to sink with him.
All right, let me bring in Festus Oguche. Do you agree with Dan Nwanyanwu when he says, look, it's just a face-saving move or attempt? And that's section 143 of the Nigerian Constitution that talks about gross misconduct. Would you say that the call or threat to impeach by this minority caucus is justified? And explain to us exactly what this gross misconduct is, if you can.
Well, I will not outrightly agree with my learned friend over there, though he has expressed certain sensibilities which informs the position of a lot of Nigerians. But I know that it is within the constitutional powers of the National Assembly to effect a constitutional process for the impeachment of the president when he's deserving of that process. With the events happening around us, the level of insecurity all over the place, it does not matter that the president has a couple of months, about 9 months to exit office. Anything can happen anytime. And the spate of insecurity, the terror attacks, the prison, the all war killings, and the rest of them that's happening one after the other, almost simultaneously, should raise anybody's sense of fear and sense of threat that things are not normal. And we will not just open our eyes or close our eyes and wait for the terrorists to come and engulf the entire nation. Abuja is under serious threat. So it's not a new thing. It's a constitutional process, though it is seldom invoked. The United States, in about 225 years of democracy, they had only done that 4 times, twice during the Trump era. And it tells me something that people who are in high positions of authority, who have the power, constitutional power to determine a lot of things affecting the country, must be very cautious about the roles they play, or what they do in their constitutional office within that period. They cannot do anything to make it seem as though they have derelicted from that office, or they have abdicated from their functions, or maybe they are a little, how do I put it, reluctant to bring in the reins of political power to ensure that security is given to the people. Peace and security and welfare of the masses is the primary purpose of government. That's what the Constitution says. The Montevideo Convention of 1933 clearly states that a nation, the definition of nationhood and statehood is the extent to which a country can secure its borders both from external aggression and from internal insurrection. That is it. And to your definition of gross misconduct, it's a very wide term, and which gives the National Assembly a very wide discretion to determine what amounts to gross misconduct. It's a little different from the American system, where these things are subdivided and divided very, very cleanly. Gross misconduct within the terms of the American Constitution talks about treason, bribery, high crimes and misdemeanor, and maybe constitutional violation and abuse of power.
All right.
But for the Nigerian National Assembly, it has a very wide discretion to determine what amounts to gross misconduct pursuant to Section 143 of the Constitution. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. Dan Nwanyanwu, you talked about our peculiarities and how that will make it difficult for this to sail through. But the issue at hand is insecurity, and that's what the federal lawmakers are talking about. Should these peculiarities take precedence over insecurity? I'm yet to see a Nigerian who says, because I'm from the north or I'm from the south, I'm not affected by the level of insecurity in Nigeria. So why are you so confident that these peculiarities will stop this process?
You see, thank you very much, Adesso. What is important here is how do we address the issue of the security? You see, everything the president asks for, the National Assembly have given him. We have everything he asked for. No amendment was made. It was given to them for acquiring armaments, for soldiers to carry their duties. We are also aware that there have been reports that the appropriate command, the appropriate order has not been given to clear these people. I am not in the military, but I can tell you within me, put me to control the army, I will clear this mess in 3 months. This military I know, give them the appropriate command. These people will leave these foreigners will leave this country. It is so because we have had a lot. And I agree with you, they are now in Abuja. I read what your colleague in a sister station wrote, Benga Lureba, his experience in life camp. You don't see motorcycles there. But as a curious citizen and patriotic citizen, Benga is, he saw motorcycles moving, he followed them. They were surveying to know the areas in life camp near the home of the Honorable Minister of FCT. When they discovered that he was following them, then they started looking backward and he had to leave because they may be armed. Those motorcycles have AK-47 lying there. So life camp is just a stone throw. So right. The point is, you also heard what El-Rufai said, although he has intentions of saying so, that the president didn't know that there was a threat to kidnap him until he told him days after. What does that tell you? If President Muhammadu Buhari, and quote me, go to the bank, if he wants this matter to end in 2 weeks, it will end in 2 weeks. I know our military, I have associated with them closely since 1992, and I'm not talking from the cattle field. I'm talking from what I know. The military has not been encouraged and they have not been directed to clear these bastards from our bushes. That is why they have not been able to do it. We have given them all the money, running into billions of dollars, and all we have is insecurity.
All right, let me bring in Festus Oguche. Yes, the B word. We do understand, the passion, Mr. Dan Nwanyanwu. Festus Oguche, I mean, where lies the problem then? The president says, yes, I have given everything that's required for this war to be successfully executed. And Dan Nwanyanwu is saying, the government has done so, and the National Assembly has given the president everything that is required. So where is the problem? And when you hear from Nasser El-Rufai that the president was only told, by him, that there were plans actually, or threats, that he was going to be kidnapped alongside himself. What does that tell you? Is the president being insulated from the realities on ground? Is that where we are? And really, who should give that command that Dan Nwanyanwu talks about?
That's a very good question. First of all, I think the problem lies essentially in the resolve and determination of government to get rid of this problem. To that extent, I agree with Dan Nwanyanwu because I know that we have a very strong military and they are poised at any time to do the will of government if government exercises that will. But when there's inertia and reluctance, you begin to have problems here and there. There hasn't been much in the area of protection of the people. It's been an ongoing thing even before President Buhari came into office. And everything has been done to provide the necessary budget for arms and to strengthen the military to ensure that this menace does not continue. And there hasn't been much on the side of results, I must confess. I know that the Nigerian military has that capacity that can crush this thing within a space of time. Shehu Shagari did it when there was this threat on Maitatsine, if you recall that time. I was a toddler then, but the manner he went about it, they were able to take care of it within a couple of weeks. And even Maitatsine is much more aggressive than even Boko Haram because you are killing them and they are coming. But here we are in the 21st century world, and so much has been given for budget on security, right from the good luck Jonathan era up till now, and we have nothing to show for it. And in so many ways, you see the soldiers being emasculated in the war front, and there's been a lot of casualties here and there, and these herdsmen go to the villages and continue to slaughter, they go to churches and bomb, they go to prison and do all manner of things with so much impunity. I would say that one of the primary responsibilities of government, like the Constitution says, is the welfare and security of the people. And once that begins to slide, then of course you begin to ask questions. And the little, how do I put it now, the little push given by the National Assembly is already producing results. The National Security Council has not met for quite some time over this issue. They have met today, and the president is now talking. And again, you made reference to what El Rufai said. And when I heard it, I was jolted, because if you tell me that the president is not aware that there's a threat to his life, you know, that tells me also that he doesn't know what is going on around him. And that should put enough threat, enough fear in my mind in terms that I will feel insecure, that the president himself is very, very insecure. And not only that, that while these things are going on, cacophony of security threats, cacophony of destructions, 2 soldiers or 3 of them, part of the presidential guard were mauled down some couple of days ago. And while we are doing that, the president was going somewhere else to do something else. It tells me that there's total lack of seriousness on the part of the government to quell this seeming menace that has totally engulfed this country into a path that could only take us to the cul-de-sac or lead us into the cesspit of destruction. All right,
let me stay with you. And just to clarify that the National Security Council has met for the 3rd time today in the space of 2-3 weeks. This is like the 2nd one in the space of a week, and there was one immediately 3 days after the Kuje prison attacks, just to clear that out. But let me ask you about the implications of this on separation of powers and checks and balances, because even though presidential impeachments are rare, the threats are not. We've heard these threats so many times, but they never see the light of day. What does that truly say about our democracy, our checks and balances between the 3 arms of government, and the rule of law?
Yes, the National Security Council do meet. They have a constitutional provision that tells them that they should meet on certain occasions, but I'm talking in terms of meeting and making very serious deliberations and coming out with good reports on that. Today we had a report, and it's published all over the place, and some of us are beginning to say, okay, we have a National Security Council. The issue of separation of powers and checks and balances, they usually come in also. But then I know very well that what has been given to the president as at now, nothing has been issued to him. There's no notice of impeachment that has been served on the president on this matter yet. What the members of the Senate did was to raise, I think it was under the critical matters of critical national importance, a motion asking the president, giving him an ultimatum to do something about the state of insecurity, or he should pack and leave within 6 weeks. They gave him a 6 weeks ultimatum. So the process, constitutionally speaking, under Section 134 of the 1999 Constitution as amended, does not commence yet. You know, but then you see the checks and balances are always there, but then we know that the powers of the National Assembly can be exercised without the indulgence of the executive, and the judiciary is there to interpret laws. And when they make such threats, of course it is meant to keep authorities at their toes, to get them to remember that they have a responsibility, constitutionally speaking, which they must meet, failure upon which they will exercise their powers through the mandates given to them by the people, by the voters who put them into office, to let them go and get rid of them.
Okay, Dan Nwanyanwu, before we let you go, Council of State says it will come up with strategies. What kind of strategies do you expect?
Well, before I answer your question, you raised the issue of whether the president is not aware of what is happening, whether he has been
isolated.
Yes, isolated from events.
The realities.
You see, as I'm on this television, by the time I get home, I'll be having calls from all my children to interrogate this discussion. There'll be argument on conference. I agree with this, I don't agree with this. So where is the president's wife? Where is Zara? Where is Yusuf? Where is Halima? If they don't want the president to know, they should tell Daddy, this is the true position of things in the country. There are people who have unimpeded access to the president. Will you isolate him that he cannot see his members? What of the older people in the family? Because everything President Buhari will go with, whether it is a good testimonial or a bad testimonial, it is about the Buhari family. You cannot isolate your family from governance. They are there to tell him. And that's why when you are talking in public or when you are in public office, you should think about those behind you, those in your family. That's the way we are brought up. Now, on your question, you see, I'm going to refer again to the 2014 National Conference report. There is nothing that is not there. We agreed on 620 resolutions. I was a member of that conference. But immediately, everybody attended. All the political parties, including ACN, PDP, all the political parties with government attended the conference. Equal representation from each party, from every state. But immediately, the president came in. He said he will not even look at that conference. If you go on the issue of security, you will see how we addressed it. If he had an opportunity to look at it for 5 minutes, he would have found solution. The solutions are known. We have a reliable, trusted military. Let Nigerians not crucify the military. They are acting based on command. If you don't command them, they will not act. If they have not gone to the bushes to remove them, it means the president has not given the order. Only one man has the powers to mobilize the armed forces for action. The same Rufai said, we know where they are. We listen to their discussions.
Yeah.
But when we tell the army, they do nothing. So don't blame the military.
Right.
That's why I said if President Muhammadu Buhari is convinced that this country, this our beloved country, a country we love so much, a country that is supposed to be one flowing with milk and honey, is being destroyed before our very eyes under the nose of our president. If the president wants this thing to end, take it from me, the president will end it. I don't need to start giving you resolutions. They know what to do.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Festus Oguche is a constitutional lawyer. Thanks for joining us. Dan Nwanyanwu is the chairman of the ZLP party. Thanks, gentlemen.
Thank you for having me.